Hello there, my name is Mike. I'm the Head of Partnerships here at AVASK, and I'm delighted to be joined here today by Zack Franklin. So Zack, although you're very well known within the e-commerce industry, do tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so hey guys, let's see, so I'm on a trip through Europe and through London, going to Affiliate World, was speaking at Scale for Retail, and thought I'd visit my friends here at AVASK. I've been in e-commerce since probably around 2015. I've worked with probably about 12 to 15 of the massive giants out in China. The first company I worked with there was doing about $350 million a year, and I ended up managing, almost 100 people over there and multiple brands. I've had brands that have done more than $100,000 a day in sales on even just one or two products. I've done lots and lots of high-ticket dropshipping in the last couple of years when I kind of moved from China to Thailand. So this is selling stuff that's like $1,000, $2,000, $10,000, $20,000 online, mostly in the US. I'm here to figure out more about doing it in Europe. And yeah, I've been public speaking at probably about somewhere between 200 and 300 different events all over the world, from Vancouver, Canada, to London, to Barcelona, to Bangkok, to Beijing, and the list goes on.
That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much. So you've obviously been working very hard within the industry, and I think you're classified as a serial entrepreneur in that sort of respect.
Yeah, lots of projects.
Tell me a little bit. So with all of the success that you've basically built throughout your time within the e-commerce ecosystem, expansion is one of those things that obviously is something that you need to get right, and you need to make sure it's done in the right way. And obviously expanding from east to west or west to east, there are certain things you need to bear in mind. So when you're talking about expanding throughout the e-commerce ecosystem, what are the number one tips and tricks that you think that would be really useful for people to know?
So obviously when you go into Europe, which is AVASK can help you with, your traffic costs are dirt cheap. I've been looking around on SEMrush, on Google Ads, and everything else. The traffic costs you can get from going to the US to Europe are just insane. In a lot of cases, it's 10 to 20x cheaper. Not only that, it's a lot easier to rank on SEO for a lot of things that have this sort of non-English language barrier. And it's quite simple to actually source talent for that stuff as well. And then when you're looking off of Amazon especially, so when you're looking at Google, when you're looking at TikTok, when you're looking at all these other platforms, the traffic cost just makes it worth it to test anything here.
Okay, and I know that expansion, the first thing that everybody starts thinking about is how do I start ranking, and how do I start growing my business? Because you can start listing, but if you haven't got people coming to your listings, you've pretty much got nothing there. Mm-hmm. So would you say that language and localization is one of the key areas to focus on? Or?
Yeah, I mean, when you look back at all the affiliate marketing stuff, I mean, they've figured this out for years and years and years. It's like, you also need to go for kind of these micro variations in language. For example, I was in Barcelona and I was looking at the ads on my phone, and I'm not just getting ads in Spanish. I'm getting ads in like Castilian Spanish, like in the actual Barcelona region. And so Europe just has all these different languages and even just different patterns of speaking. If you're somewhere, I feel like every time I walk 6 blocks in the UK, it's a different accent, a different way of talking, and kind of just whiplash going around. You do almost want to optimize for that kind of stuff in your actual traffic. If you can get some of these micro regions within a city or within a state or within a country, you can perform really, really well because it just sounds so much more local. But even so, on Amazon, you don't have that necessarily ability to micro-target, and a lot of us listening in will be from Amazon. But yeah, translation is incredibly important. I recommend YLT Translation is one of my favorite companies for this, with Yana.
Absolutely, yes. We know Yana quite well as well. We work with her quite a lot.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
There's so much when you're talking about language and localization. I mean, you are absolutely right when you're talking about regional variations of accents and things. I mean, even linguists will study that and tell you it'll be due to which tribe invaded which area and which location over 2 centuries ago. So When thinking about expansion, obviously your advertising budget is something that is finite. What tips and tricks can you give us about the different platforms, like for example Google?
Yeah, so Amazon at this point is kind of the one everyone goes to, but that means it's like significantly more expensive for a lot of types of e-commerce products. It's still going to be cheaper than it is in the US, but it's still, you might be paying $1, $2, $3 a click, and maybe you're selling a $10 item, you're screwed. You would need a 30-40% conversion rate. Google and even Bing, especially Bing, are going to be significantly cheaper sources of traffic. And if you are running your own website and you do have all of your translation and stuff set up, you might be able to get clicks between 20 and 70 cents, or even cheaper than that. So Google, for most people that are already selling on Amazon or selling on a marketplace here, is easily the best traffic source to get started with. But depending on what you're selling, TikTok has been absolutely blowing up.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. So when considering the factors, when you're considering expanding into different marketplaces, I mean, there are a couple of things that we will always recommend. Things like, doing your product research, making sure you've got the correct amount of inventory to be able to supply into the new market. Funding, do you have the amount of money available to obviously go there? Legislation and taxes being obviously one of the more prominent ones that AVASK will try and assist you with. But also advertising and paid for advertising to get your products marketed is perhaps one of the most important thing. What tips or what one piece of advice would you give to people about setting an advertising strategy?
Just one piece of advice?
Yeah, your top tips, or however many you like. Maybe your top 3 then, if it's too broad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, number one, see what's working, and don't feel the need to completely recreate the strategy. Take something that's working from the US and put it in Europe. Adapt it and play with it.
I think that's actually also quite true with products as well within the US. If your product's selling well in the US, it's fair to say it's going to sell very well in Europe and the UK as well.
And once you find something that is working, don't take your foot off the gas. That's the time to really accelerate it. I've had too many businesses in my life where once they got to a certain level of success and I should have really pushed, that's when I kind of took my foot off the gas and went to go travel around Europe or something like that. Is once you get something that works, you got to push it as hard as you can. And yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help and talk with more and more people. I do believe that, if you're doing Amazon, I think you should be talking to 10 to 20 Amazon sellers every day of your life. If you're doing Shopify, you should be talking with 10 to 20 Shopify sellers every single day, because they're going to be seeing things that you don't see. They're going to be able to give you advice, and at the end of the day, it's a people business. We might think, oh, we're just in our laptops and stuff in our house, but it's about the people that are seeing your ads and interacting. It's about your partners at Facebook or Google or Amazon. It's about people at AVASK and making the effort to actually go and visit these people and know these people is going to change your advertising a lot more than clicking a couple buttons is going to. So, that's why I just went to Affiliate World and we had 6,000 people fly in from 180 countries. Wow. Yeah, it's the biggest marketing event on earth. But people there are able to get a different level of advantage on advertising and a different level of knowledge than if you're just stuck at home.
We're almost we're halfway through the year. What have you seen as being the general state of e-commerce in this year?
Yeah, so I think obviously inflation is changing everyone's mental calculus of products, of costs, of everything. So I'm here in Europe now where I feel like everything is 3 to 5 times more expensive than it was the last time I was here. And where I am in Bangkok, it's not like this. And so people are some of the products that were more expensive, if they didn't go up too much more, they seem much more reasonable for consumers. They're oh, I could stay in a hotel in London that's not even a good hotel for £300 a night, or I could go out and buy a new camera, or I could go out and do all this stuff. So people's price comparisons are very wonky, as the price of everything is shifting and not in an equal way. It's not like everything is up this much. Certain categories of stuff are going up like crazy. Certain things are holding steady. So your customers are trying to figure this out. Also, people that are not necessarily business owners and stuff, working normal jobs, normal people, are thinking a little bit more carefully as well, like where to, find deals and stuff like this. So instead of maybe just going to the grocery store or something, also because of the pandemic, they're used to being at home and doing their shopping, but people are shifting more and more and more online to be able to compare prices, find discounts, or even just because they want to save the money on gas to like go to the store and come back and stuff like that. So it's just a much more convenient thing for a lot of people. They're now much more used to buying everything online. So I'm in Europe for like the first time in a couple of years, and the internet is terrible, and like some of the worst I've ever seen in the world. And so I need to adjust now a lot of my traffic strategy for Europe and the level of optimization that I do, because it's just not fast enough or consistent enough for it to work flawlessly or smoothly. There's a different level of optimization that I now need to do here, but I would have never have noticed that had I not been here and walked around and experienced it.
So traditionally, would that be relying less on high definition video content to more mobile streamed content, or?
Well, it's just certain basic optimization stuff you need to do on a website. For those of us that are doing our own sites, one of the easiest tricks you can do is take pretty much every piece of JavaScript in your head and just move it as far down the page as possible to your footer. Because what happens when a website encounters JavaScript, one, it has to download it, then it has to parse it, and it will stop everything else first. You do also want to work on that, first load. So you kind of want to do some, it's called critical CSS. And so what that is it's the stuff that you would only see on the first screen, the first load. And that's actually put in line, and then it will load the rest of the stuff after. Same thing with like lazy loading images. You want to do that. And there's lots and lots of speed techniques you can do, but honestly, like the number one bang for your buck to optimize for mobile, as far as speed, is to take JavaScript and slam that to the bottom.
So when you consider all of that, then what is going on throughout 2022? What trends and forecasts are you seeing? What's going to happen in 2022 and beyond?
Yeah, so we do see, more and more centralization happening in the space and consolidation. Even within a lot of the aggregators, some of them are selling, large portions of their portfolios to other aggregators. It's becoming more and more and more centralized. In the entire aggregator game, there might be 5 to 10 winners, and the rest will not. We're also definitely going to see more interest rate hikes this year. Inflation in the US, they just announced 9.1%, but guess what? That's just CPI inflation. If you really look at stuff, my mom works at a grocery store, and she's like, Zack, like stuff just went up like 3x over the last week on like this, and this. Like people are complaining to me, like what can I do? And it's just crazy how much prices are going up. But more interest hikes are on their way. So that means getting access to money for your stuff is going to be more expensive. But that also could lead to a lot of advantages now. If you have a ton of overstock now, you've got your inventory at cheaper prices than anyone is going to be getting it going forward. You're going to make more money on that inventory. People are really going to want to work. So it's going to be, a good time to get new talent, get new employees. Let me see. It's a great time to think about doing a lot of other countries than the US and EU, where things are kind of rocky right now, honestly. It can be a good catalyst to expand your business to a lot of different areas that you might not have thought of before.
I think that's actually very, very key. You've got to diversify your risk and not put all of your eggs into one basket. And it could be that by expanding across borders into new territories that you haven't possibly considered, but even you could actually say that you could also expand across border into new marketplaces as well. Because, for example, the obvious choice of marketplace is not necessarily always the correct one. I mean, if you look at the United Kingdom, Frugo, for example, has got 10.2 million visits per month. In Germany, Otto's got 55.6 million visits per month. And it's the same when you're looking at Poland, I think is just absolutely astonishing. Allegro has 193.3 million visits a month.
Europe is full of all these different marketplaces that no one really considers. Cdiscount and Fnac or something.
Fnac, yes.
Yeah, Fnac.
You've got bol.com in the Netherlands. But even when you consider AliExpress, for example, they've got 865 million visits per month globally. That's an astonishing, huge amount of opportunity there.
Yeah, I was just down in Mexico and Colombia and Latin America in general, and I had to look for a bunch of stuff online on Mercado Libre and Amazon, and I was shocked. So I just wanted like packing cubes and a new backpack and stuff, and I was looking, and we all know packing cubes, you know, it might cost like $3 to make a packing cube. And there was like 3 sellers on Amazon Mexico doing it, and it was like $100 for packing cubes. I didn't buy it, but that's just insane. There are a lot of places with very little competition still. And in especially Latin America and stuff, the prices that people are actually paying on a lot of consumer goods is very, very, very high because there's just no selection. And so it's worth exploring that market. And you guys just did a new software, right? Maybe you could talk about that for a minute or two.
Absolutely, yes. So we are in the process of actually beta testing and beta launching our new client portal. This is a very exciting project for AVASK because it basically means that the client can actually do anything from logging in to view their accounts to even anything as far as booking a call with their compliance officer. So you really can take advantage of all of the stats and all of the ability to interact with your VAT reporting and have access to a fully engageable and working client portal, which will enable you to download and
I think I was reading that you guys integrate with like Shopify and Amazon and stuff too.
That's right, yes. So we're currently working on integrations with a lot of the European marketplaces. Amazon, Shopify, they're all live and ready to go. We're currently working with Walmart as well, eBay, Allegro. We're going to be working with all of those to get all of those online very shortly.
Does Walmart have a EU presence?
No, they don't. But what's happening is they've just started a program where they're encouraging sellers that are selling in the UK to start selling on Walmart US.
Okay.
And as AVASK has got a business in the US, we can help you to design a tax-efficient structure and strategy to migrate your business cross borders to the United States. So we can tell you whether it's worth setting up an entity or whether you should just register for sales tax and just trade from afar. But whatever happens, we'll be able to provide you with the advice and support from a dedicated team that's located in New York.
All right.
Brilliant. Okay. So we are potentially coming to the end of our session here today. So thank you very much. If there was one takeaway that you could give to all of the people listening to this podcast interview, what would you recommend for resilience in the coming year?
You know, the world is gonna keep changing, and we gotta change with it. You know, a lot of people might miss the good old days of 2015, but even in 2015, they're like, we miss the days of 2008 where we could really put anything up and it would go. Things are going to keep changing, and we need to continue to develop new skills, to change, to learn new things, to talk with new people, to stay relevant. You know, just because you were making X amount last year, you know, it's a new year, you got to do it again. You got to find the shift, you got to adapt. So, you know, if you're listening to content like this, you're doing a great job of staying up to date and taking the steps, finding great partners like AVASK. The sun never sets on AVASK. They have offices all over the world, and honestly, it's a very impressive operation here. Will, you know, give you the peace of mind that you're not going to get this letter from like HMRC or whatever and, you know, totally ruin your day. Find new stuff. Always look for new gold. You know, TikTok is blowing up. Google is still underutilized by e-commerce sellers, which is shocking. It's just crazy. New markets do exist. We think, oh, maybe it's only the US, UK, EU that like are spending money on stuff. But as someone who lives in East and Southeast Asia and goes through Latin America, like there are huge opportunities there. And it should be exciting, even though the world is facing some insane challenges and people are stressed out and interest rates are going up, stock market's going down, crypto is crashing, yada yada. There's still opportunity for us to go in and do business and to do it right.
Thank you so much. That's very phenomenal advice there. I think that's brilliant. Thank you. I think my last point that I'd like to make is your focus should be on doing what you do best, and that is running your business and selling your products. Deploy the right expert at the right time to assist with anything that you're struggling with. Don't be a have-a-go hero, because that's when you can come across errors and you can make costly mistakes. So if you're talking about building a robust PPC advertising strategy, you should deploy an expert, or even just go and have a conversation with Zack or something like that. I mean, I could listen to you all day. The amount of knowledge you've got in the industry is just phenomenal. I would say thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much for your time today. It's been a pleasure talking to you today, Zack, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
So thanks for listening, guys. See you soon.
Thanks very much. And if you do want to get in contact with AVASK, please do visit us at www.avaskgroup.com, where you can select the language of your choice. We speak a multitude of languages here.
Everything.
We're here to support you in any way we can. I've been Mike. I'm the Head of Partnerships here at AVASK. Thank you and goodbye.